All right, ma'am. I'd like two slices of cheese pizza. I'm wearing the mask right here. No, we're not doing that right now. I need two slices of cheese pizza. Okay, let me get two slices of cheese pizza. Why can't you serve me? Dude, I'm not putting on. I got the fucking mask on right now. I got it on right now. What is this shit? Hey, all of you are brainwashed fucking sheep. I promise you. Slowly but surely, everybody's taking your rights away. Do you think a fucking virus with a 99.98 survival rate requires a fucking mask? Y'all gotta wake the fuck up. Slowly but they are killing your businesses. They're killing everything. They're taking away your jobs. They're taking away your They're taking away your livelihoods. They're taking away everything. You think that it's gonna stop at the masks? Do you think it's ever gonna stop at the masks? Y'all gotta wake up. Everybody gotta wake up. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're gonna come. Everybody gotta wake up. Slowly but surely. It's the fucking sniffles, bro. Everybody's close to each other, touching the same things. That Coca-Cola has been touched by 20 people. I guarantee it. So how is a mask going to stop that? Everybody's going to get this virus. Everybody's going to get over it. How's it going? Predator Poachers on YouTube. Oh, wait, you touched me, but you're wearing the mask. You can't get the virus. Y'all got to wake up. Everybody got to wake up. It's okay, guys. The mask is safety. As long as you feel safe wearing a fucking piece of cloth. Y'all gotta wake up, man. Just remember, this shit was supposed to be over in April 2020. And look at y'all now. Look at y'all now.
Welcome to a maskless and booze, but we are socially distanced. How are you doing tonight, Doug?
Better than that, dude. How about you?
It's good. It's a good week. It was a good week. It really was. It was a historic week, but it was a good week.
So we starting off there, man.
I'm back on the Ale Asylum. Man, we're coming down to the end of this, I believe. I hope, but I'm still doing my curbsides. But Ale Asylum was the one this week. Plus Crush, a very crushable New England style IPA, very nice, very fruity. Plus Crush, so it gives you that ability to crush it. Nice IPA, I love it. You know, I'm Daddy Porter, of course, but honestly. Got out the confession here. If I want a poundable beer, I'm looking for a Session IPA.
Well, sounds like it's right up your alley, man. It really does.
Porters aren't poundable beers, even the lighter ones.
I agree. I don't find them to be poundables, but like it does sound something like you would really enjoy, though.
And what's going on over there?
I'm starting off with Harpoon's Golden Milk. Is the one I just saw. This is a blonde ale brewed with lactose, turmeric for flavor and color, spices, and sea salt. So, all right. I want to see what this color is because turmeric is generally pretty orange. But that doesn't look very orange to me.
No, got a big head on that though.
Oh, it's like a spice blonde ale. Like,
will you say finish that and I'll answer this?
Yeah, that is that's really good. The lactose is not like overly done in that at all, but like really tasty. I really dig that.
A golden ale with lactose. It's not something you see all the time.
No, and that's what I was worried about.
Me too. And then what's up with the turmeric?
Turmeric is a spice that's used in a lot of different things, like even in like homeopathic stuff. Like it's good for. Yeah,
so I mean, how is it?
Bill knows this stuff way better than I do, so I'm not gonna.
How is it in that beer though?
Oh, it's really good. I mean, it's not. There's clearly not a lot of it because turmeric is pretty bright spice, like for color wise. So, but
right, that's why I was like, is that So they pulled it off, having it be subtle is what I'm trying to get at.
On both notes, because I saw that and I was like, that'll be interesting. I have no idea if it'll be good, but it's quite good. This is it's more like a spring kind of beer for me. But I am seeing more spring beers coming out already. We're in January.
Yeah, of course the push of, but this is Plush Crush, not Crush like the Paula Abdul remix of Rush, or 2 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Jerry.
Don't I get Casey? I get Casey for that too. Casey's always trying to sing on here. So, we have a highly anticipated guest tonight, Doug.
Yes, we do. I think we've both been really looking forward to having this person on.
Yes, Paige. Actually, Paige and I have done some. We've done some collaborative work on the Daddy Porter YouTube page, and I should have that stuff set up, but I don't because our pre-production here is
perfect.
Right, right. But Paige is one of my friends that I met at the Beer Bloggers Conference in Milwaukee, and her and her husband were there. And this is when she was doing alcohol by volume. I think she's still doing that, but we talked about all that. And the funny story before we bring her on, Doug, is that like her and her husband were there, and like I met them. I was like, haha, but I didn't really get the whole they were together thing until a year later, and I looked like a complete idiot when I realized this. And they're just the nicest people ever. So they're like, "Oh no, it's cool, it's cool." Oh no, it's not cool because I'm an idiot. But it's fine. But like they were very professional when they showed up, and Rick, was taking pictures for Paige's blog, and Paige was doing her thing, and Rick was doing his thing, and I just thought that they were just like a team, like they were, friends, and they were working together, and that's just how they just came off, and it was very, very cool. But Paige is beer blogger, restaurateur, I think. A whole bunch of things going on. So she's from Minneapolis. So there's a lot of going down there this year. Mm-hmm. So yeah. What's the hold on, Doug? What's the artwork like on your beer?
Oh, it was not really much artwork. It was just kind of like this. So it looks almost like a latte like kind of thing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does. Yeah, it does. But it wasn't trying to taste like a latte, though, was it?
No. I think they were just doing that for the sake of it, whatever. But like I said, it's a really well done beer, and Harpoon is not a small brewery, but that is really well done.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, we're going to bring Paige on. Talk about all this great stuff. Wonderful, Paige. Hello.
Hey. Hi guys.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. It's been a long time. Doug has been bugging.
Thanks, Doug.
And before it was more, Doug was really bugging before the pandemic, and that was when you were busy as all heck. And I can't get any, and Doug knows this too. It was just hard for me to get any of our beer blogger friends to come on a Friday, because Fridays are days that we're out and we're blogging and we're at our bars and we're at our breweries. So pandemic's been a positive in this way as far as booking people. So we'll take that. So how's everything been going? What's going on?
Things are good. I mean, things are still like very pandemic-y here. I don't know if that's still how it is on the East Coast, but We've had 2 rounds of restaurant and bar shutdowns, and now there's like limited dine-in, but most people are still doing takeout. So it's just feeling a little bit like this has been going on forever. But personally, I don't have a lot to complain about. Everything's fine.
Great. Doug? Or what are you having? What are you drinking?
Oh, I brought Dragon's Milk, but it's a variant. I know Doug really likes this beer, and I just found it. It's the fooder aged variant of Dragon's Milk, which, if you're familiar with the original, it's a one of the few whiskey barrel aged beers or bourbon barrel aged beers that is available year round and without really a lot of restriction or expense. So it's one of my favorites.
Yeah. You're starting off big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think I might only end up doing 2. So yeah, I decided to go big.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that turmeric beer, Doug.
This one?
Yeah. Do you taste turmeric?
A little. It's not like overwhelming. Like even in the color, I was expecting to be a different, like more towards what turmeric color is.
Yeah.
But and with I was worried about the lactose in there as well in a golden ale.
Yeah.
But it's really super well balanced, really tasty.
Interesting. I don't know if I've had beer with turmeric. Maybe, but
yeah, I was afraid.
Yeah.
But maybe some of that lactose, Doug, took some of that
I could have taken it on a little bit.
Yeah.
So how's the Solera there?
It's good. It's probably a little bit on the cold side, but it's pretty similar to the original. I think it just gets a little bit more of like the oakiness, a little bit of like tannic woodiness, but it's not like super different from the original, I would say. Have you had it?
I couldn't find it. The only variant we got was we had the most recent one and the first one, but we couldn't get the Scotch barrel aged one, which is the one I wanted the most because I'm a big Scotch fan.
Yeah.
So that was one for some reason we just couldn't get that here. Yeah, and I couldn't.
You're drinking Harpoon. We don't get pretty much really any. I think there was a period where they finally started to come to Minnesota, but I haven't seen them recently. I'm not sure.
Doug?
Oh, sorry, I had a burp there. So we were talking about it earlier before you came on was with the alcohol by volume.
Yeah.
Are you guys still doing that? I noticed there hasn't been as a big frequency, or what's the scoop with that? With you?
Yeah, so I'm still doing it. I guess the positive thing is I've had a little bit more freelance work, so I've just been putting a little bit less attention into the actual blog, and then I also rebuilt my website, so that took some time too. And I'm not going to bore everyone to death here, but I've been using WordPress for about 8 years, and I just really was looking for a change, either a change in the way my blog looked, but I ended up going away from WordPress and going to Wix because it just has a different interface. I just thought it looked more modern. And I'm sure there's a way to do that within WordPress, but I kind of just needed like a clean break of like, okay, this is kind of not a new project, but it's different. Like what I do now is different from when I started. When I started, it was pretty much just like a travel blog, educational kind of reviews, local coverage, like a lot of bloggers. There's nothing wrong with that. But now that I'm doing like different kinds of media, I'm trying to do a little bit more video. I'm trying to kind of boost my Instagram game. I kind of wanted everything to populate in one place. And that's what the purpose of the new website is. So I still have Alcohol by Volume up. And for a while, I'm going to post beer content to both places. It's not hard to do, fortunately. And then I'm just going to kind of wean myself to the new website. And then I have a link I just re-upped my domain for 2 years. So it'll be live, like all the back content will be available. And then that's linked in my new website too. So long story short, yes, it's just kind of changing faces a little bit. Yeah.
Excellent. Doug, you got a follow-up?
Yeah, I just think that's kind of with the pandemic and even just as things evolve, like Greg and I run in the dad blogger universe as well, where you see people where just things change. You grow, things are different. You have different interests. You know, in dad blogger world, like for me, I used to write when my kids were small. My kids are not small anymore. So like I can't write stuff about them. One, if I do, I have to absolutely have buy-in and get permission.
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's a natural evolution to kind of do things a bit differently and change. If you don't change, you're just staying the same. And
yeah, and it's a little bit bittersweet. Like, I feel like, there's some merit and value in doing the same thing for a long time and having that consistency. And so it's a little bit scary, but I think in the long run it'll be the best thing for me. I met with a content developer about a year ago, and I kind of explained that I do all these different things in my life that are sort of related, but they're kind of all spread out over the internet. And so I kind of just wanted a place for those to land. And I think that that's really true of like millennials, and that's really true of where we're at with the pandemic. Is like everyone has a side hustle. Everybody has things that they do that they're interested in. You don't have to monetize those things, or you can. But instead of having these little compartments in my life, I kind of wanted to just have a landing page that's just my name instead of my blog name. But I kind of use those things in tandem.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So, hi, Joel.
Hey, Joel.
So I don't know who this is because it's not showing me. We did a
That's
cast.
Rick.
Who?
That's Rick.
Oh, okay, Rick.
But he's not. Yeah, so that's him.
Is Rick in the same house?
Yeah, he's upstairs.
Well, apparently Greg thought you guys were just like business partners. So
I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or, I mean, I guess I do, but it's so funny because Rick and I, like, we're always joke about how, like, whenever we go out to eat, people always ask us if we want separate checks. Like, people, it's like, I don't know if we just don't, like, I think we're very affectionate towards each other. Like, we were never friends. Like, he just moved in with me one day. Like, we never had a friendship. So it's just so weird to me that, like, that someone would think that. It's so bizarre.
Did he just show up at your door? Hey,
the blogger now. I do my own thing, but yeah.
He just showed up at your door. Is like, hey, I'm your roommate now.
Pretty close.
It's the Canadian charm, man. Why? I mean, we see with Casey every week. So
yeah.
Can I?
They'll do that. They wiggle your way into your heart. So.
And for those who don't know, Rick is Paige's husband, and he works at is he still at Dangerous Man?
Yes. Yeah.
He's at Dangerous Man Brewing Company, which is, in my opinion, one of the best breweries that I've been to in Minneapolis. This is my opinion. And a lot of people share that, or many people say that Dangerous Man is really good. But so I've had the same struggle of booking Paige as I had booking Rick, and I still, Rick, if you're watching, bro, you're on my hit list, man. I want you this summer or soon. And again, I got to get you guys before the pandemic ends because because once that goes, you guys are going to be. You want to talk a little bit about your venture, what you guys are doing, or do we need to?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's not a lot that's secret about it now.
Cool.
So, I mean, I don't know if it ever really was secret, but we are in the process of opening a boutique hotel with a small restaurant together in one building. We call it like a tavern, like a modern tavern. When we were trying to come up with a term for what it is, we kind of decided it's like less backwoods than a B&B and a little bit more like less drunk uncle than a tavern, but we couldn't come up with a name that would like exactly fit. But it's the tavern model of like a restaurant underneath and a bar, and then you can just go upstairs and go to bed, like it kind of used to be and still is in some places. So we decided to go with modern tavern as the term, and we've been looking for over 2 years for a building. And recently we found one that we really, really like, and that is very promising. It's in a great location. It used to be a tattoo studio, so the second floor has little rooms, which is perfect because that's what we would use it for. And it's also like there's a lot of good features about it, but it's very walkable to the lakes and places people want to go when they visit Minneapolis. So we are in the process of trying to purchase it. It's only gotten harder and harder as the process has gone on. It's a really, I'm not sure if you know this, but it's a terrible time to be opening a hotel, let alone a restaurant or anything in hospitality.
Right.
But this is the time that the building has come to us. So we have just decided we're going to make a run at this, do everything we can, get all of our ducks in a row, try to proceed as though it's going to happen. And if it doesn't, then we'll move on to a different building and hopefully put a little bit more space between the heart of the pandemic and our opening. But yeah, that's the situation.
Wow. Well, we wish you. I mean, I've been quote involved, meaning I've known about this for I don't know since we were in Montana.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking, and I was like blown away by and also we mentioned that Rick works at Dangerous Man, but do you want to talk about Rick's real background as far as a little bit because it factors into all this?
Yes, so Rick has been a cook for about 18 years in lots of different settings. He started out, every member of his immediate family actually worked at McDonald's. That's how they all kind of learned to cook. And he decided to keep that as a career. He came from a family of business owners. His dad owns and still semi-owns a printing company. And so in high school and just out of high school, he was cooking and also working with his dad. And so he learned a lot about building a business, but he decided that printing wasn't the business that he wanted to take over. He really liked cooking. So it's cool that he got to learn the back end of business ownership. That's really helpful. And then he went on to work in several kitchens throughout Manitoba, Winnipeg area, and then moved to Quebec, to Montreal, and cooked there for about 5 years. And then, as I said, showed up on my doorstep and then started cooking here, has been involved in about 7 or 8 restaurant openings in his life. He's been kind of pulled on to projects because he's really good at that sort of thing, menu planning, hiring, kind of inventory management. That's what he's really good at. So, yeah, we've been doing a ton of private dinners, usually concentrated a lot of times around the holidays, but we've done birthdays and other events, usually about 10 to 12 people, and course dinners, and then I do the pairings. So that's where my beer expertise comes in, and I've tried to learn a lot more about wine and cocktails as well, because we do all sorts of pairings, and then usually in people's homes. But we have done pop-up dinners, pop-up brunches and dinners, and they've gone really well. Overwhelmingly, we had one dud, and we think it was because it was during the state fair, and the Minnesota State Fair kind of takes everyone's attention. But aside from that, it has been very successful. So.
And when you say dud, you mean attendance wise?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, they're ticketed events. The dinners have been ticketed events, so it's not like it was a surprise. We knew we screwed up, and then we just made better food for a smaller group of people because we had the resources to do that. So.
Right. I was wondering if dud meant like the oven blew up and you couldn't like because those things happen too, right?
We haven't had anything too crazy happen yet. I'm sure one day it will. Every brunch we always run out of waffle batter like a half an hour in, and you're like, how much waffle batter is it going to take for people to be happy? That's one thing we have learned is insatiable appetite for waffles.
Knock on wood for that. What's up, Doug?
No, I was gonna say, well, who the hell doesn't like waffles?
What's funny is we always do a sweet waffle and a savory waffle, and I am always surprised that people have never heard of or thought of a savory waffle, which I feel like is what's happening in Greg's mind right now.
Right. What? Talk more. What are you talking about?
Let's hear about that, please.
It's a waffle that's just, so if you think of like if you make a pancake or a waffle, usually the batter's pretty neutral. Like there's not a lot of actual sugar in it. It's usually what you put on top of it. So we've done savory waffles either just kind of plain or with herbs in the batter or cheddar in the batter to create a savory waffle. You can think of like the flavors of kind of chicken and waffles in a way. And then we've done it with like Reuben toppings or nacho toppings as kind of for someone who wants a savory brunch, but the waffle is the deal. So yeah, that's what we've done.
I will say that the weird thing is like, I don't know if you guys watch Great British Bake Off, but watching them do stuff with savory stuff, where it's like in America, when you think of like baking, most people think it's bread or it's some dessert. and they make things that's like just savory cakes and cakes with tea in them and stuff. And you're just like, in America, we don't usually even think of doing that kind of shit. We think we're just going to make here some blueberry or chocolate chip waffles kind of deal. So yeah.
It's kind of like when you have a mole and someone's like, "Oh, that's cocoa," or that's cacao or whatever, and it's like, well, usually we think of that cocoa, vanilla as sweet things, but it's all cultural.
Huh. So let's run through the comments here real quick. So Tony wants to courageous and fearless opening now. Best of luck at the restaurant and bar.
Thank you.
And those must be fire waffles, and savory waffles sound like the business.
They're gonna stick on the menu for a while.
Yeah, and Roberta was here last week?
Yeah.
Yes, my wife has been on the savory waffles for years. Okay. And then Aaron wants to know why we are ruining waffles.
Aaron, you are wrong there, sir. Sorry.
We made both. We had a sweet waffle. We had a very good, like, Belgian fluffy sweet waffle too. So we'll please everybody. I promise.
Yeah, Doug. Joel loves that show.
Yeah, that's Great British Bake Off stuff. That is like a balm for the soul. That freaking show. So
a burrito waffle.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do it. You can make it happen.
Come on, Aaron. We're trying to get a burrito waffle. Come on, dude. Come on. So, and then, Doug, you wanted me to show this one?
Yeah, that's from John Burkhead. Burkhead, we haven't seen him on here in a bit.
We haven't seen him for a long ass time. Burkhead, come on the show, man. Come on. You got a Friday open. Yeah. Let's go. So yeah, Roberta says savory waffles are so good. You can make a great BLT cheese melt panini thing.
That's a good idea. So wait, do you make the waffle and then do you panini it on the waffle maker, like as a panini press? I want to know more. Let's connect. I want to hear about this idea.
Oh, Aaron's open. He'll try anything once. Okay.
Hey, keep your kinks out of our show there, Yavelberg.
Wow, this could be a game changer here. What's going on?
I'm telling you, Greg.
That sounds wild. I like that.
Yeah. I'm telling you, you can do. The thing is, we have kind of a just sort of a very narrow view of a lot of different foods here that I think we can explore the space like Paige and Rick do that. I think that's fucking awesome. Let's see where
listen, we have a narrow view, but we at least are open to other ideas. We got Paige on. We have Jeff, our resident food scientist. We got to get him back. Mm-hmm. We've had Matt Strain lecture us and teach us about non-alcoholic beers. Mm-hmm. So I haven't really dipped into them though, Doug. I'll be completely honest. But Paige, have you seen any up there? Where are you at with the non-alcoholic? Any interaction with that?
Yeah, let's see. What is time? It's hard to put time together, but I think last summer, so summer of 2019, they started to become a little bit more popular. There's a company here that's interestingly enough, ABV Technologies is their name, and they are kind of like the atom splitter of alcohol locally, and they've developed a machine that's it's proprietary. I don't know all the details, but essentially what a brewery can do is they can put their beer into this thing that ABV Technologies makes, and then it spits out a non-alcoholic beer and basically a seltzer. So it separates the alcohol from the beer, but the difference is that the product that went in is beer. It's flavorful. The malt has been, converted into alcohol. It's gone through all the processes of beer, so you get those same flavor and body, but the alcohol has been essentially taken away. I'm probably butchering this on a molecular level, but you get the idea. So then what they made is they made an NA beer, an NA version of one of their beers, which is really cool because then it feels like you're drinking the same thing just without alcohol. And then they had the seltzer, and then they made that into a seltzer. And that's a local brewery here that did that. The first one that I know of in Minnesota that used that method is called Bauhaus, and they're not far from Dangerous Man. They're in Northeast Minneapolis. And then the other one that got pretty popular locally is by Fair State, and they made I think it was a Vienna lager or a Pilsner. It was a lager. It was very, very good. At first, I think it was inconsistent, and I think their seltzers at first were inconsistent. These products in our market started to come into the market at the same time, so that's why my brain kind of puts them together. But the beer got a lot better over time, and I remember having it maybe in July of this year when everything was outdoors and trying it. It felt like you were having a regular beer. It was like, even if I had it blind, I honestly don't know if I could tell you it was an NA beer. Whereas the ones I've had in cans and bottles, I tried a few over the summer. I tweeted about a few of them because I was mainly trying to remind myself. And the Athletic brand from New England somewhere, they've kind of cornered the market on NA. And then I had the Brooklyn one I thought was pretty good. And then I had two others that kind of tasted like beer tea. One was almost kombucha-like in flavor. So I think they vary. I think maybe to me it's how they're made. I think there's a big difference because some of them you have more of a full fermentation process where others are made different ways. So long story short, I think the quality and the enjoyability has huge variation.
And I am very, very happy for my friends like Matt Strain, who are alcoholics, who want a beer experience but can't have the alcohol.
Totally.
I'm completely fascinated, and I love it for that aspect. Because
honestly, I think that's probably the best for that product. Like, I don't know that I would do it to cut down on drinking. I would just have a sparkling water. I'm probably not going to reach for an NA beer to decrease the amount of alcohol I'm taking, and I'm just going to drink less beer. Right. But for people who can't have alcohol, it's great. I think it's great.
Right. I was going to say, because those duels ain't getting it done.
No, they've never been good. I mean, people have been after that from the start.
Right.
It's not a good product.
Right. That's not a good look. What's going on, Doug? It's time for your second, right?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the second one here. So I'm going to go with the Lord Hobo one that they just started distributing my way, Godmother Imperial Stout.
Ooh.
I thought I heard about this one.
I've always seen them just do like IPAs. That's the ones I get, like Boom Sauce and all that stuff. But I haven't seen one that's a dark beer, so I'm intrigued because their IPAs are good.
Is Lord Hobo Massachusetts?
Yeah, it's it says on their can they are from Woburn. I don't know where the hell it is in Massachusetts. So
I just remember having it when I was out east. We don't get it anywhere near Minnesota, but it looks great.
Sexy glass. Okay. Clean glass. Okay.
Yeah,
what kind of glass is that?
I have no idea. I bought this at Wegmans. They had a set of glasses, and I was like, I need beer glasses that aren't dirty.
Yeah. It reminds me of the Spiegel one, but it looks much more durable.
Yeah, it's really quite stout. Haha.
Nice. How was it?
Decent, not overwhelming, not fabulous, but drinkable. Trying to see what they say. They don't really put a lot in their cans. They don't put a lot of description on any of them. It just says it's 12% ABV, and that's it. They don't talk about
12%. Wow.
Wow. Right.
It is a bit roasty, which is surprising for me because it has almost more like a porter character to it than it does a stout.
Huh.
I don't know. Like I said, it's drinkable. It's just not something that I'd be like, oh, you should really like. I would recommend people try it because maybe their palate's different than mine. But like Imperial Stouts, like to me, aren't quite this roasty. Like they're way roastier than what I expected.
Gotcha.
All right. So our little comments on non-alcoholic beer has brought in a bunch of comments here. So,
you know what? Klaus Tauler, I've heard too, is pretty good. Like as far as mega brands. I don't know. It must be an AB Bev or one of those, but as far as they go before craft NA, I think that was kind of the better one.
Never heard of it. Okay. I've been impressed with Athletic. I led a whole, just Jerry Richard. I led a whole NA tasting earlier this week, and it was eye-opening to see the different varieties. And Jerry, we need to book you soon too. I'm going to be.
That was our boy Aloe. That was not.
That makes sense. Yeah, he was doing a tasting. That's right. Yeah.
Jerry's been
I-
but the problem is neither of them are registered through the thing for StreamYard to pick up their name for some reason. So
right.
Yeah.
I
Can
think
you tell people again how to do that?
Yeah, I believe if you go up to the top, it should be a thing on the top of the post. There should be something where you can click on it, and then you can verify with StreamYard, and then it's something about Facebook and groups, and Facebook restricted the groups since they let all that Russian interference in that past election. But anyway, we're not going to go into that. We did, didn't we? No, but Athletic was one that Matt Strain always talks about as far as variety. And he's the one, like Matt Strain is a really, really good example for this page because he's a recovering alcoholic. So he wants that beer experience. So he's one of these people that are actually looking for, because he remembers what, he liked in beer, and he's looking for that in NA. And we have a side messenger thread where he talks about this all the time. He's getting new ones in. And, his big thing was that, like, he feels that they're a lot, like, they're really thin sometimes. And they don't have
the body issue, I think, is the biggest issue.
Right. And that's what he says too. And then also hop presence, I hear him talk about where he wants a better hop presence. You know what I mean? And that full body to really.
I think those go hand in hand. I mean, if you over hop a beer that's thin, it's going to be awful.
Mess. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah, I think another one he talks about is the Scottish guys who came over and have a place in Columbus, Ohio.
Brewdog.
They have a stout that's called Stout AF.
Oh, is that non-alcoholic?
Yeah, that's non-alcoholic, and he said
their whole AF brand is what is it?
Alcohol free, but it's as fuck. Like they're doing it.
Right.
I did not know that. I should know that. That's embarrassing, but okay, good to know.
Well, I learned. Matt told me, so I probably learned on this stream too. Actually, I was like, "Oh, that is catchy and cool." But apparently, they have a whole line, right, Doug?
Yeah, they do. They have a whole line of that. They were on that pretty early too, but like Athletic really just and as somebody mentioned, I think Daniel Fisher said that the Athletic ships everywhere, so you can actually order it because
they have cornered that market. They are just taking that and running with it. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, they had trouble, I think, securing a loan and getting off the ground. I think people didn't see the potential for that market. And then they're doing so well. I mean, they've almost become synonymous with NA beer, I feel like.
Yeah.
And it's huge. It's a huge market that people that I don't think they knew was there. Kind of like the seltzer market, which is like, oh, put it out there, and all of a sudden it's like, boom. So Sir Hobo is fire.
The stuff I've had from them is good. This is just the first one I've seen that was a dark beer. I've always seen their IPAs and stuff like that. So
Aaron says that Wegmans is the best. Wegmans is awesome. Wegmans is an awesome supermarket, and you guys are pretty damn privileged, or whatever you want to call it, or lucky to have a beer place. It's really nice setup, man. Really cool. I love chocolate cherry stout, man.
Wow.
Like yes. Yep. I am now going to start describing everything as roasty. Is that you? Welcome. He's making fun of you, Doug. Right.
That'll only get you so far, but.
Joel does have a point about Brewdog's business practice.
That is a truism.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, especially because they have that hotel, and we have friends in our group of friends who the Josephs, June and Kendall, they go to the Brewdog Hotel every year, and they love it. Like they just think it's the best thing, and I want to go. I definitely want to go just to learn, but I do have some hesitancy about kind of their shady business practices over the years. But the more I learn, there's a lot of brands out there who do questionable things. You kind of have to, I don't know, pick your battles. Is that okay to say?
Absolutely. Let's see. Athletic has one completely NA tap room. Wow. Wow. That's great. Brewdog actually opened an AF bar in London earlier this year.
Oh. Oh.
Man. It ain't open now though. Sorry, people.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Time flies when you're having fun. I actually have Hopalicious, which is Ale Asylum. Paige knows it, so that's good. Anybody in Madison knows this beer.
Yeah.
It's a Madison classic, pale ale, fantastic. I don't. It's I've had it on the show numerous times. Doug rolls his eyes when I bring on my cheap Ale Asylum, $6 for 6 beers. But
I roll my eyes. I'm just jealous. We don't get shit like that.
Wisconsin, man, it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, and Paige. So I don't know if you've heard on the stream or when I've had it, but you've been to Ale Asylum, so you know what I'm talking about. But Hopalicious is, I mean, this is a $7 beer, in any of the places in Madison, and they've been selling it for $6 a 6-pack during the pandemic. You have to get if you go to their brewery, because as you know, and we can maybe jump on it too, but as you know, buying from the brewery is the best thing you can do for a brewery. And they really incentivize it by, having $6 a 6 for this wonderful, fantastic beer. But they also have a chicken Sammy that I'm telling you, Nashville hot.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, that's a high bar.
And it's one of those too, Paige, because and I heard you and Rick talk about it. It's one of those sandwiches that you and Rick could slice in half for dinner, and fill up the fries, and it's one of those big, huge, mega sandwiches. So, cheers to Ale Asylum. So I'm gonna
go grab my third beer, my second beer, but my kitchen is really far from my desk. So talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, I was gonna play a video.
Oh, good.
But I'll wait.
Okay.
We'll wait till she gets back, and we'll chat here though. So Doug, it was a very historic week. How you feeling?
Relieved. That's the best.
I was really. Oh, also, this is a perfect time for this. So, I got a love-hate relationship for curbside pickup. Love. The love part is that I don't have to go in and see any of you people. I don't have to be close to any of you people. I don't want to be close to any of you people. It's a worldwide pandemic. The whole idea is to stay away from y'all. I love y'all, but I don't want to die, and I don't want to bring this shit to my house. Okay? So I love curbside for that reason. I don't have to see you, be near you, talk to you. Where I have problems is these substitutions just blow my mind. So, and especially with beer, it really ticks me off. So,
wait. I'm going to need an example here.
So it's Walmart. Let's just start there. They're one of the places that gives you beer. So I was like, oh, this is great. Like you can get curbside. You get your groceries, and then they had a little thing, craft beer. So I was like, yes, New Glarus seasonal. Excellent. So what they do is give you they don't give you the seasonal that's in now. They give you the seasonal that they're trying to get rid of. So I wanted the fucking apple ale, and these bitches gave me Oktoberfest in November. And I'm like,
no.
Right. So then in my house, the lady does the curbsides. So I'm not trying to get her, I'm not trying to make her go back and do all this, jump through all these hoops, because my dumb ass won't drink 6-pack of Oktoberfest. But it's in the and then they do this in groceries too. I wanted cinnamon buns. I got pumpkin cinnamon buns.
No, that's not the same food.
What the fuck is a pumpkin cinnamon bun? Well, we found out in my house because, we got it.
Can't let that shit go to waste either. I paid money for that, damn it.
Again, the whole thing is you're not supposed to talk to people. So in order to return something on curbside, you have to go in. So then I have to say to the lady, we don't really want these pumpkin things, so you have to go in. No, I'm not. We're going to eat the pumpkin things. But these substitutions on curbside just make my head explode. I know it's a first world problem, and I know there's a lot of people going through a lot of bullshit and a lot of fucking hurt and stuff. during this thing. So I just want to acknowledge that. And I am just bitching about a first world problem. And I'm a privileged person to be able to stay at home and not have to go out into this shit. And I'm a privileged person for having someone who is wonderful to me that goes and does the curbside for me. So before
But
you
I
guys
think we
all
can all
comment in the
relate
comments,
to like those
I'm
little
giving you
tiny
all of the
problems.
things. Yeah.
It's so relatable. Like we all have like our quarantine thing that drives us crazy. Like, why does the recycling suddenly only come every 3 weeks? Like, what is happening? Like, why now that I have all this recycling in my house because I'm ordering everything online, why does the recycling truck never come? Like, again, such a dumb thing. But like, I feel like we've had it up to here with like some specific problem.
Right. It's a smaller thing too, like that really irks you more during a pandemic than like it would any other time. You know what I mean? Like it's like a little poker. It's like, oh. Anyway, go on.
It's the old Chinese water torture thing with the little dripping on your head for. It's like eventually it just freaking burrows a hole in you.
Wait, Craig, did you ever do curbside before the pandemic?
No.
And does Walmart always sell beer?
In Wisconsin, yes.
In New York State, no. Well, no, they do, but it's like your Bud Light, Coors Light. They don't have anything that's funky there.
So when you go, do you go online and like select your order? Is that how you do curbside?
Yeah, like you go into Walmart's thing, and interface, and then they just have groceries there, and then you just pick your groceries, and it goes in a thing, and then you just log out, or you check out, and then you pick a time, and you show up, and you just put the groceries in your trunk. Okay. And you go up. So that's what you get for shopping here at Walmart.
One would wonder why it doesn't just show it as being out of stock when you go to order it.
Right.
Like maybe that's too logical.
Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't.
But okay. I think if you're ordering like New Glarus seasonal, if they're not specific about what seasonal is, they'll just go, "Oh, well, that's New Glarus seasonal." It says seasonal on the bottle.
Right. And that's what you get for shopping for beer at Walmart. True, but I wasn't shopping for beer at Walmart. I was shopping for my groceries and just throwing a beer on top. Hopefully, it all went well. Apparently, and I got other beers that went well, but that was the one that really kind of irked me because, again, it wasn't. But at least Oktoberfest I can still drink now. It's not going to really it's not a beer that's going to go quote bad in the short term. It's not like an IPA or something.
Just drink it in March. Then you can just call it a Martin.
Right. Right. I love Mankind. It's people I can't stand. Right. Target isn't any better on beer, but they let you pick two subs. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that. We've not done much curbside. We've done curbside like restaurant, but shopping we've still gone in. I just wear a mask and I try not to touch anything.
Yeah, I did that for a while, and then the lady was like, "Why are you doing that when you curbside?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So then we just curbside. But
I did it. I mean, I have plenty of friends that do it. We haven't really ventured into it.
And all so yeah, Joel. So Joel put this here. Yeah. Actually, Joel, my pandemic beer thing has basically just been curbside with the breweries. And I've done curbside with pretty much every brewery that I love and that I've been. But Ale Asylum has kind of been my go-to because it's easy. The lady does the curbside, so whatever is cool for her. So she comes home and was it a good experience? Were they responsible? And she's like, I love Ale Asylum because they're responsible and the way they have it set up. So I'm like, okay, well then I'll just do Ale Asylum. I'm not trying to put her in places where she doesn't feel comfortable, and I'm also not trying to buy from a place that makes you feel uncomfortable. Sorry, you have to get this right. I'm not trying to be an ass. I will support you as much as I can, but you have to get this right because people have to be safe. So and feel safe. So yeah, Doug, just noticed Doug's T-shirt.
I saw that.
And Doug, is it time for a little plug here?
Yeah, that was me. I don't know why my thing says it's that's me commenting that's me and Jay Wisniewski's podcast. So
right. So talk about it. We're here.
So Jay and I have done this podcast. It's been kind of on and off only because we've had not just pandemic stuff, but like general stuff and life stuff happening that we should be releasing a podcast pretty soon where we did with Jeff Bogle. So I'm super excited for that to go out into the world. And we're looking at getting Alice Chase on next. Greg, you know Alice. Alice is awesome. So I'm hopefully able to get her on so she can talk about her rebel rally that she did with her friend where they did
I know somebody who did a rebel rally too.
Yeah. So we're
trying to get Alice Chase on this.
Well, we could get her on this, I'm sure.
That's awesome.
We'll talk to her because she won't respond to my DMs. I'm not that.
Yeah, I'm better than you. So there.
You are. While you're here, y'all.
Hey.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah, so that's what that is. It's on all the podcast platforms, and we've done. I mean, it's not just about parenting. Sometimes we've done it about fandoms. We've done it about. We had one podcast where we had a pastor from South Carolina, and we discussed abortion. That was actually one of our favorite podcasts, like that had leadership, because it was a very rational, down to earth, common sense kind of discussion without people just yelling and screaming at each other. So it was pretty great.
That doesn't happen very often.
Not anymore.
I'm optimistic we're going to go back to that.
Yeah,
I hope so. I would really like that.
That's the hopeful part of me. Of this whole because the last time I talked to Paige, we didn't have a different. We have a new president, and he's calm, he's smart, he's quite frankly, not an asshole. Right. So hopefully that will trickle down to the masses at some point, and we can get to a point to where we are at least open to each other's ideas. But we can't lull ourselves into a place to where we start to accept people like this woman.
Oh no.
Go back to Spain. Go back to your country. Okay, you're recording. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. My family is here since 1904. You people don't belong here. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. Do I speak English? Do I speak Spanish? Oh, fuck you all. Fuck you all. I can't stand it anymore.
You hit 2 cars.
I did not hit
I
2 cars.
have your video. I have your own video. You hit the car behind you and the one next to you.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
I will. That's what you deserve. Go fuck
Okay.
yourself.
Okay.
I hate you. Get out of the
I'm sorry.
Get out of here. I hate you foreigners.
Okay.
I hate you.
Wow. Was that recently?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Right. Yeah. Because I try to figure out whether they're pre-pandemic freakouts or not. And usually you can tell by the whether they have a mask or like what's going on around them. But that one I think is new. I haven't seen that one. But yeah, we can't lull ourselves into thinking that lady is not going to be there anymore. And she's clearly emboldened by the idiot that just left the White House, in my personal opinion. So now these people are not going to be, in my opinion, as vocal assholes as they were before. And we gotta remember that they're still there, and we still have work to do as far as you know what I'm saying, like bridging that gap. And Doug, did you see our wonderful? Did you see her? She was.
I heard her, and that was enough.
Well, she was kind of on the strain of that first guy that I don't know if Paige saw. With the guy in Costco screaming that we're all stupid and we're all sheep and all that. Well, she was mad about, she wanted these foreigners to leave, and foreigners to her is, Hispanic people or black people, people who aren't white, basically, is a foreigner to her. And so make races afraid again.
That's
you bring up a good point though, Greg. I mean, those people still exist, and it's like they existed prior to Trump, and then they were just granted permission to do things, and then they got to this breaking point, and what happens now? I mean, do those feelings just get repressed again? I would prefer that we can change those people's minds and hearts, but it's probably unrealistic.
Yeah. Hey, can I just interject? Paige, you said you went and got a second beer. What did you grab?
I grabbed this mystery beer from Dangerous Man. It is a Weller Barrel Aged Baltic Porter. Sorry, it's really glary. There we go.
Weller, a Baltic Porter. Nice.
Yeah, it's really intense. It's 9.8%, and yeah, barrel aged, of course. It's great. It has a really strong booze like flavor, but it's not hot. Like, it doesn't come across as super intense or heavy. It's nice. I like it.
Yep.
And I remember we had when I got some beer from you and Rick, the one thing you sent me was a Lafroig aged stout. And that was Lafroig happened to be one of my favorite scotches. So that was like perfect and just really, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very scotchy beer. I mean, people were like very split on it. You really have to like scotch to like that beer. But I do think over time it mellowed out a little bit. I think by the time we sent it to you, it had probably been a few months in the bottles, and we opened one pretty recently, and it had kind of mellowed out a little bit, which for you is probably not necessarily a good thing. But
well, for me, it's like I like the peaty scotch. I like all that stuff. So like Lafroig is like right in that wheelhouse, and I like that quite a bit. I like it more than bourbon barrel aged stuff, just simply because I like the character of Scotch more. But Scotch barrel is a little harder to come by in the United States. So
yeah, because can't they just keep reusing Scotch barrels? I mean, don't a lot of Scotch houses get bourbon barrels?
You can reuse Scotch barrels for a certain amount of time. I mean, it's like, I'm sure you can do this. I don't know how it is with bourbon barrels. I don't think they have as quite.
Bourbon, you can't reuse them. They have to be fresh barrels.
Yeah, with Scotch, because those things are like they keep what I saw interesting was, like, I saw a show with the guys from Brewdog where they went to a Scotch house because they were making a Scotch barrel aged beer. And it showed the guys that are putting together the barrels. I forget what their title is, but like what's that?
Coopers?
I think that's right. And they they took barrels from like 7 different basically distilleries that don't exist anymore, and put boards from each of them into one barrel.
Wow. So
they could get character from all these basically defunct distilleries, and that was
they just broke up the staves and recombined them into barrels of a mix.
Yeah, so that was kind of fascinating to see, because you're thinking, oh well, you're getting all these different flavors from these scotches that don't even exist anymore, and it's just like, I don't know, I found that super fascinating.
That's really cool.
And so I would think, I believe I remember reading that you can reuse them. I just don't know if there's a time constraint or how many times you can reuse them. I don't know that.
Yeah, sure. That's kind of like, I mean, rum barrels are pretty famous for that, because whenever a brewery gets a rum barrel, it's always like a disaster. Like, it's like leaking and it's not working right, and they have to like steam them, and that's because with rum they just keep reusing them to be economical.
Coopers. Doug, when are you coming to the Midwest?
Who was asking that?
Dan.
Oh, I'd love to. I really would. I want to go to Minneapolis. I want to go to Chicago. I want to go to Madison. I want to go to all those places. I want to hang out with you and Rick. I want to then go to Chicago and hang out with Afro Beer Chick. I want to come there and hang at Greg's place. I want to do it all.
Nice.
If and when we can travel, that's the problem there. So
the one Paige was drinking was a super limited one-off that sat in Weller barrels for a year before we canned it. What happened was we kept the 6 to pour at a beer fest. Since no beer fest, it sat for another year. Damn.
Okay. I'm into it.
If Minneapolis, I'm in. You're in. I don't know who that is.
That's Kyle. That's Kyle Thompson.
Oh, yeah. Kyle's in for sure.
Yeah, let's make it happen when we're all less contagious.
P.D. Scotch, yes, Doug Ziegler, speak gospel.
Yeah, that's Jerry. He's correct.
Let's see here. Before let's go back to the lady real quick. Dan says we need to get her a Pilsner. She said that her ancestors, Doug, were here since 1904.
Jesus.
Yeah, oh geez. Right. Manny says she's hangry.
Yeah, she got those pumpkin cinnamon rolls in her curbside pickup.
Get her a Snickers. Make racism afraid again. Make racism embarrassing again. This is why. For the record. This is why I show these people. I think shame is the best way to do it. I don't know if there's any other way. We got to get back to publicly shaming people for being assholes. That's just my opinion, and that's why I put them on my Twitter and I just post them where I can. So I'm not trying to promote what they're saying. I'm trying to promote. I want people to see who they are and hopefully make their lives miserable. Don't kill them or harass them, but like there needs to be something. Well, she's harassing her neighbors there, so like there has to be something or some repercussion. Everybody. This is one thing. These Trump people are yelling, "Free speech, free speech." Look. Everybody has free speech, but there are consequences to it.
Right.
Okay. So we can say whatever we want, but there's going to be consequences. If I go to Doug's house and start berating his wife for no reason, he's going to come at me. Okay. I have freedom to do that. Actually, Jill's going to come after me first.
Jill will defend herself quite well.
Right. But my point is that I'm going to have my hands full. So like you don't like this is what I'm trying. You have kids, you try to tell them this. You can say what you want, but you're going to have consequences to what you say. So let's not even get into that. So Paige, we try to get to our sponsor segment really early in the show, but when we have great comments and great guests, it's hard to do that. But this is time for our sponsor and time for you to talk about something that is important to you, and also time for me to go offline and use the bathroom. So,
in charge.
Paige, you are in charge. You sent me this link before, so I don't know if that's what you want to start off on, or if you have anything else you want to talk about. The floor is yours, my friend.
Am I our sponsor?
Yes. We don't have sponsors.
Right.
They're always a sponsor.
Making sure.
Right.
I didn't want to assume.
We also don't have pre-production, and that's why you don't know. So.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, we like to keep people on their toes here. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So now's your time to talk about anything that you would like to. I assume it's your website, but it could be anything. And
go to it.
Yeah, so like I said, this is kind of my new thing. Trying to make a hard left turn into a different interface for people. So it kind of sends a message that it's not just a blog, it's not just beer, although it's predominantly beer. Talks a little bit about the freelance work I've done, and then Dan and we do something called Second Sip, which we were doing pre-pandemic every month, where we had a theme and we would do a Facebook Live for about an hour. And we're trying to do some more remotely when we're both able to connect digitally and do those events. So Second Sip, take a look out for that on Alcohol by Volume on Facebook. And then, this just has some links if you want to get in touch with me, if you want to talk about partnering with me or having me write for you. There's a lot of other things besides just freelance work. So things like copy for beer dinners or menus. I love to partner on that kind of stuff. So that's the website. I don't really have a lot more to plug beyond that because that's kind of what I've been spending my time with. But I do have a freelance piece that's coming out pretty soon on good beer hunting. That'll be a pretty interesting topic that has to do with non-competes in the brewing sphere, non-competes, non-disclosures. That'll be a pretty interesting story for local readers as well as national readers because it has definitely a national reach. So that's kind of what's coming up. Otherwise, not a ton of other projects in the hopper besides just keeping up with the website, trying to make it a little more user-friendly. I've been trying to do a little bit more live video. I've done some unboxing videos from beer that I've been trading, especially using the whale pods with a couple of other friends in beer circles this year. So that's been really fun. Live video is definitely a challenge. It's not something that I'm used to. I'm much more of a writer than a speaker, but that's another way I'm trying to kind of stretch myself this year. So, yeah.
Hey, Whale Pods is pretty rad because Daniel Fisher sent me like 3-4 packs through that. That was awesome. Like I was like, I didn't even
got me into it too.
What's that?
He should be their spokesperson. He's the one who got me into it too. The Whale Pods.
Yeah, I think that's really excellent.
So good. Greg, have you seen the Whale Pods?
Yes, I've gotten a delivery.
Oh, good. Good. I was hoping.
All right. So excellent. Joel agrees with me about the shame, get them fired. I agree. Dan wants to give them atomic wedges. Manny says shame them like Games of Thrones.
Shame.
Free speech protects against the government arresting you for speech.
That's Kyle. Yeah, he's correct.
Yep.
You can say what you want. You don't get to claim that as free speech for the repercussions of what you say. So,
right.
Yeah. Dan makes a great point. I think everyone needs the flow chart like Carlos, except for saying things that get you in trouble. Yes. That's a fancy website.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, I think that was sharp, by the way.
Daniel Fisher seems to be the Frank White of beer.
Frank White.
Yeah.
I don't know. Explain that one, Manny, because I don't know who Frank White is.
Oh, sedition should be punished by a firing squad. We're going back to the 1800s, right? Is that?
Well, I at least think sedition should be more harshly punished than like peacefully protesting. But hey, that's just me.
Yeah, just
Absolutely.
I think that's a fair thing.
And I think that's a great segue into your summer was very interesting, Paige.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Paige, if you guys saw my initial post, Paige lives steps away from the George Floyd crime scene, Doug. I don't know if you know. So that's literally Paige's neighborhood. So I bet, and I've seen a lot of your posts and a lot of Rick's posts, I bet that you guys could seriously talk 2 hours just on that whole. But if you could, sum up a little bit to people who are watching, just your feelings and how it felt for that to happen in your neighborhood and how your neighborhood responded. And I mean, I know all these answers, but if you can maybe concisely do it in like 2 seconds, no, but whatever, take as much time as you need. But obviously, again, it's a big subject that you can, probably talk an hour on.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like yesterday, but it also feels like a really long time ago. But yeah, it was at a convenience store that's about 3 blocks from us. Everyone's seen the footage now, Cup Foods, which is known to be an area where a lot of gang members hang out. There's a lot of suspicion and probably reality that the police are well aware of the activities that happen there. And depending on who you ask, just don't care. And probably some of it is police sponsored in terms of just ignoring all the nefarious activity that goes on there. So it's not a great corner, but it's in a great neighborhood. I mean, my neighbors are phenomenal. I mean, we live in a historic Black neighborhood. Everybody's really great to each other. I mean, people know each other really well. There's families that have lived here for many, many generations. And then there's new people like me who feel really privileged to be a part of it. And it was a strange summer. I think right away the neighborhood really was good about providing opportunities for people to come together and get a lot of education that frankly a lot of us were embarrassed that we didn't have before. Things about redlining and racial covenants and why neighborhoods are white and neighborhoods are Black and where resources go. And I think all of us on this call have a superficial knowledge of that, but I think it's a matter of kind of learning from people who really experienced it. I mean, hearing about knowing that our house, which is on one of the nicer streets in this neighborhood's a square. It's one of the smallest neighborhoods in Minneapolis. Knowing that, Black people could not live on our street, but they could live on pretty much every other street in our neighborhood. It's like, it's really striking. It makes you realize that it's not just privilege. It's like a system. It's built into, it goes all the way to the top. This was arranged. This wasn't an accident. And that's kind of the theme of how I felt all year, meeting with my neighbors every Saturday morning in the summertime, and now in an online format now that it's colder. There's a lot of us that get together on Saturday mornings and talk about what's been going on, and it's frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating that the cops killed George Floyd, and it's frustrating that we need to give them more money now because we have so much crime, and that's how everybody feels, and it all feels very prearranged. Like the fact that we decried police and we wanted them to be defunded, and now the rates of crime have gone up. I personally am not a conspiracy theorist, but I just don't think that's an accident. I think that the cops are happy to see. I shouldn't say that. I think the cops are pointing to the rising level of crime and saying, this is why you need to give us more money. And it's like, well, you weren't doing your job in the first place. So it feels very powerless. I live on the same block as our ward, our council member for our ward of Minneapolis. And I've been really disappointed that she really hasn't been more vocal about making positive change in that intersection, because I'm sure a lot of people know the intersection is still closed. It's become what people call an autonomous zone. I don't really know how I feel about that term. It's not that I disagree that that's what it is, but I think it's more than that. It's become an international memorial, and it's more of an autonomous zone than Portland is, because I mean, this is like where it happened. And all summer we were watching people come and go. We were watching people's camper vans park outside of our house, because it was like, for lack of a better term, it was like a tourist destination. People wanted to see where this happened, and for us then not to take that momentum and move forward in a meaningful way, in part because of our council person, is really frustrating. And a lot of us have been trying to be more vocal and reach out to her and explain what the demands of the neighborhood are, but the mass media is making it seem like it's just this lawless zone with all this crime. When we're all like doing food drives and like meeting our neighbors, and it's just so frustrating that the portrait that's been painted and the reality, I don't even know what to say. It's just heartbreaking. People don't believe me. People don't hear the message, but I'm sure, Greg, but it's been a struggle.
Yeah, I was literally at your place, 6 months before this or something.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get a more middle class Americana neighborhood. I didn't feel any kind of I didn't feel any kind of like I don't want to be outside at night here, or I didn't feel any kind of I was shocked when I found out George Floyd happened blocks from you. I was shocked because again, you guys from your street, we were outside. I mean, I don't know, Paige. It's frustrating. But you couldn't get any more.
Surprise is a really good point, Greg, because that was a big question that came up for me and talking to my Black neighbors. Is like, is it a surprise? Because it is in many ways a surprise, because it feels like a very safe neighborhood. It still is. I mean, I walk to pick up, groceries, to go meet friends. I mean, I walk around my neighborhood all the time alone, earbuds in, don't feel unsafe. But the question is more like, is it a surprise that this happened to a Black person at that intersection? And I think the answer is no.
No.
I mean, because it's not a matter of the neighborhood. I mean, in some ways it is. In some ways it is, because it's a historically Black neighborhood where there's predatory landlord practices. There's interfaces between the haves and the have-nots, and so it's not a surprise in that sense that it happened to someone at the hands of Minneapolis police, and that person was of color. That is not a surprise. So It's this weird dichotomy, I would say.
Right. The location was a surprise for sure. So I hope that you guys are healing. I know you guys went through a whole bunch of stuff. I know you're still going through a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, you didn't lose your life as George did. Obviously, you'll be the first one to say, and I'll say it for you, and you'll back me up. You know that you're a white person who lives in privilege. So You're not even right. So you're not even, this isn't, Paige isn't coming at it in some way like, for her to, to be the victim or anything. Right. But at the same time, your neighborhood did go through trauma and still going through it. And on some level, again, I don't want to say it's good, but I want to say it's progress because people are at least feeling it, or at least getting that. It sucks that you guys have to go through it, but at least learning and having that knowledge that you didn't have before, because you started this whole conversation off by saying about the knowledge that you've gained and the stuff that you didn't know before. That was like the first thing that you said, lady.
Right. And I mean, the first thing I should have said is that I'm a white person who lives with privilege. And I think people who know me know that I know that to my core. And it's not at all that I've been personally victimized. It's that I hope that I can change that world for other people.
Yep. So Doug, I don't know how we follow that up.
I don't either.
But Paige, thanks for your perspective. Fantastic. And I'm sorry, Doug, I cut you off.
No, I was going to say, we've talked a couple times in the show about the idea of like the education level that we get, as especially like I grew up in rural Pennsylvania. I knew Martin Luther King was a civil rights activist. That's what I knew.
Right.
I heard nothing about
He was, bro.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the thing is like the education part is like that's a big key to this thing is like if I get this whole Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, well, there was a lot more complicated than that. It wasn't just like he said this, and we had a civil war and then once they won, and I'm like, yeah, but I didn't know any of the stuff about like how that the government worked to keep the Confederacy together because they couldn't lose the money out of all what they were doing down in the South. And like, it was a real mess. And I knew none of that. And that thing is like finding out things when you're like, I'm be 50 this year. Like there's shit that I like have just learned this past 2 years. I'm so mad that I didn't know beforehand that it's like, why the hell wasn't I given anything to know what the real America was like? Like, I lived this, I was lower middle class and when I grew up, but I didn't know any better, but I still had it better than most kids in the cities, but I didn't know that. I was just told that don't go to the city because the city is dangerous. That's what I was. So, yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the tragedy is that, crime is on the rise everywhere and racist behavior is on the rise everywhere. And those are the things that we should be targeting and trying to change. It's not about pointing to, these thugs or this, autonomous zone, they're the problem. It's like, nah, man, pull up a crime map. It's everywhere. It's people are out of work. People can't afford their homes and their apartments. And it's just basic human needs not being met are leading to this huge rise in crime. It's not just these little pockets of terror because we want to defund the police. It's a more human issue than that, in my mind.
Yep. Doug, let me roll through these comments and then you can get to your third one.
I'm going to get my third one. So, yeah.
Joel says ACAB is a saying that exists for many reasons.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Roberto agrees. They're turning a blind eye on crime page will rise in order to justify their budgets.
I really hate to agree, but I agree.
Training and vetting needs to change. Yes, Manny. Not sure who this is, but they agree with you, Paige. Having an unresponsive representative or elected official is awful. The mass media is doing this because there's only 2 or 3 companies owning the media. It's facts. Yeah. That's Telecommunications Act of 1996. Who is that? I love that shit.
Jerry. Jerry knows shit, man. That guy knows.
Jerry brings receipts. He brought receipts. And listen, receipts are so important because people just spew whatever. I like to say people say CNN is fake news while they point to some obscure YouTube channel that has less followers than me. So like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Manny says no police officer should work in an area longer than 2 years. It should always be rotating.
What makes you say that? Is that a practice that you know of in a city?
Manny, yeah, Manny, what's up?
I feel like police officers should have to live where they work, but I know that that's a really complicated problem. But knowing that the 4 cops who killed George Floyd none of them were from Minneapolis was really frustrating.
Yeah.
Yes. because they don't know the area as well as I've seen it. RoboCop's roaming the neighborhood to get someone. Let's see here. JHG is puking. I'm not sure why, but Dan's jumped in here. Many of the police in Minneapolis don't live in the community. The guy who killed George Floyd lives in a suburb. So your second sip, buddy. Second sip, right?
Yeah, second sip.
Excellent. Your second sip, buddy, goes out there. Shout out to Kyrie Irving for buying George Floyd's family a home. Shout out to Kyrie Irving for that. But the dude is still a nut.
He is a nut. Anybody who's a flat earther is a nut.
The world is not flat, Kyrie.
He's a guard. He's a guard for the Brooklyn Nets.
Right.
Yeah, he has a lot of great ideas, and he has a lot of ideas that are fucking way out in the middle of La La Land. I don't.
Okay.
But he's unassailable. How about that?
For sure.
Oh, he's a basketball player?
Yep.
Yes. He's a damn good basketball player too, but he's a complete nutcase, in my opinion. That's where I'm at. Doug feels that same way about one of my favorite wideouts, OBJ. He's really good. He's a fucking nut. History in school is so skewed. Let's see. When I was on that path, I was encouraged not to live in the community. I think Bird was talking about he was
looking at being in law enforcement or that.
Right. It's on purpose because they feel reprisal. But it turns into a dodge, accountability because they don't know who they're right. Daniel agrees with Manny about history. So much is glossed over, ignored. I found this out. Sounds like Paige, not that you found this out, but this is, this George Floyd incident was more further evidence of this. For me, what the further evidence was Juneteenth and the Tulsa riots.
Yes.
And when people found out about the Tulsa riots, because Donald Trump absolutely highlighted it because he wanted to go down to Tulsa, that there was the Tulsa riots, people were like, what are the Tulsa riots? Wait, what is Juneteenth? And it was just like, wow, nobody knows any of this shit. So
speaking of like history being skewed in schools, Greg, did you know that the Tulsa curriculum, they had to make it a law that the people of Tulsa, the children, would be taught about it? It was like 2002 or 2004, like really recently. I listened to this woman speak. I will shoot you her name after this, about the Tulsa massacre and how it was not being taught in schools, even in Tulsa, primarily in Tulsa. They were really embarrassed about it, and they wouldn't teach their own students about it. They made it a law, and whatever year it was, started with a 2, which is really embarrassing. And now it's gaining a lot more attention. I learned about it a few years before Trump's thing, and I had never learned about it prior to that.
I hadn't either. You know where I found out about it first? Like I'd kind of sort of maybe heard about it. It was the show The Watchmen, because their first episode takes place in that Tulsa massacre, and I was just like, "What the fuck is this?" And I looked at, I was like, I didn't know shit about this, and now I'm like really mad that I wasn't taught that. So yeah,
and we learned. This summer we learned that a lot of people who fled Tulsa, a significant number of them came to my neighborhood, and a lot of the street where George Floyd was killed was Black businesses for a really long time. And their roots trace back to Tulsa and fleeing that area.
Right. So it was really eye-opening when people are like, damn, I don't know Juneteenth and I don't know that. And it's just like, yep, I completely agree. A good social studies teacher is an asset to society. This is why people are so shocked about the American flag and the Capitol. Is interesting to me. People who represent the spirit of the flag have been in the Capitol since Reconstruction. Is that Jerry again? That's amazing.
The flag had never been in the Capitol before.
Yeah. So Manny responds, I believe. Usually when police officers first come out of graduation, they are usually get the worst areas. It's like going to Iraq. Nobody should do a tour of duty more than a year and a half. After a while, all you see is red, and all you're going to see, and that's all you're going to see because that's all you know.
And our friend Dan Booby, and he said that was watching The Watchmen was him learning about the Tulsa riots as well. So, that's a weird thing to have a fucking show based on a comic book teach you about that.
Well, and then do you guys remember when that happened, when Donald Trump was going to go do that, and then I think he didn't do it. I think he moved it. Remember? Yeah, he moved it. But at that point, like the light was shone on it that like everybody knew. But remember, Doug? I don't know if you remember, Paige. I know Doug remembers. I put out on Facebook, one of the few things I put out there was, where did you learn Juneteenth?
Mm-hmm.
And it got like 300 comments, and a lot of the comments were, a couple of them were, what's Juneteenth? So then people didn't know, and then a bunch of people were like, I just found out this week. So you just found out because our racist president, pushed it in your face, basically.
Right.
Because again, he absolutely did, and so it was just like, wow, like it was really, really, when like a quarter of those people of 300 comments or whatever were like, I don't know what you're talking about, or I just found out this week. It was really, really clear, like, man, we got work to do education-wise. And again, I think that woman that, I don't know if Doug, I don't know how much you saw, Doug, but she started by saying, my ancestors have been here since 1904, and you people need to go.
It's not that much time.
1904, right. I'm like, us slaves have been here. The slaves, or I wasn't a slave, but us people who were slaves, 16, what's going on?
1619 was the project name that they did for the New York Times.
So I'm like, so she didn't even know history, or she couldn't even grasp that to be screaming at somebody. And that's why I believe it starts with education. And the fact that, again, our schools are just so behind in this area, it's just like, that's why who we are. Yep. Okay. Let's see here. What else do we got? Yeah, Joel, I grew up for years in Tulsa and didn't know about this. So
they weren't teaching it.
That's everything you know. Rick, 8% of Minneapolis officers live in Hennepin County, and that's a big problem. Hennepin County is not, or Hennepin County is?
Hennepin County is, but it's a huge county. It encompasses a lot of suburbs. I think less than 4% live in Minneapolis, but Rick's right, 8% in Hennepin County.
So, but Hennepin County encapsulates the Minneapolis and St. Paul?
No, just Minneapolis.
Okay. So Minneapolis and the suburbs.
Yes.
Okay, so then 8% of Minneapolis officers who work in that area live there.
Right.
Yikes.
Right.
It's not even remotely in proportion.
Right. Wow.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it has to be a mix. I guess it can't be 100% from the community. I mean, it has to be a mix, but 8% is no mix.
Right.
Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so Mercy Beers is from the UK. I wonder if cops in the US are taught to de-escalate the situation at the academy. Got lots of friends who are police, and that's one of the first things they are taught during UK police training. Also, Mercy, if you're still on, can you verify that cops in the UK don't have guns, or most of them don't have guns? So
we just had guest from Spain, and that's what we learned.
Yeah, if you don't have a gun, then de-escalation is your number one tack. You know what I mean? That'll be the first thing that you pull out, because you ain't trying to have anybody pull a gun on you. So then that's the benefit of them not having guns. So yeah. We can learn, Mercy, we can learn a lot. Listen, there's a lot more people here in America, but we have the same problems as you generally, and we can learn a lot from you guys and how you police and all that. So cheers, brother, for sure. Tony, no one should have to do more than 2 rotations in a war. I personally know people who have done 5 or more tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. And that's again really like America. Like, we just put you out there and we just like, all right, you go do the job. Like, like we don't man, Paige, you blowing out these comments, lady. It ain't bugging.
Right, because people, when we see a lot of MLK photos, are almost always in black and white.
That's a really interesting point.
And I
I've
don't,
never thought of that before.
but there's plenty of color photos of him that they don't show. And I don't understand. Like when you see videos, a lot of those are in color. And I'm like, why do we see photos in black and white all the time? It's supposed to make him look more regal. But like the thing is like when he was, really forcing the issue for civil rights, he was wildly unpopular. And we all know why that is. So and I don't know why they don't show it in color so that it is more recent, but
So Mercy says, I don't understand how Americans can hate immigrants. Unless you're Native American, you are, or you are.
I have a lot to say in that, and I'm not going to because that's going to go a whole bunch of sideways.
Right. So first of all, Mercy, generally speaking, I would have to say, I don't think Americans hate immigrants. There is a clear certain segment of Americans who hate immigrants, and those people were in power for 4 years. We have people now who are in power who don't hate immigrants, and I think you're actually seeing that and what's happening even in the 3 days since we got that hateful asshole out of office. So I from your point of view, I understand why you believe that, but I'm telling you, as a normal American, we don't hate immigrants. In fact, many of us want more immigrants because immigrants in this country are less likely to do crime than the people who live here.
Right.
So bring them on and get rid of the assholes who were storming the Capitol and who want to kill our governor in Michigan and who want to kill our governor in Wisconsin and all that. So us Americans are more, we're more likely to do crime than the immigrants that want to come here and work.
There's just so many other positive things that come from immigration. I mean, we have so much of a better perspective when people who aren't from here come here. It's the reason that there's such a thing as the American dream, which one could argue doesn't really exist anymore. But having those different perspectives, I mean, it's part of the reason. I mean, in Minnesota, we have a high number of immigrants, and I don't think that's an accident why we have like the Mayo Clinic and 3M and so much technology and learning, because people come with different backgrounds and expertise, and it's of our benefit.
Again, immigrants made this country, Mercy. We know people. Again, real Americans know who made this country, and it's immigrants. So we're not even. I'm not even trying to cop. But what I will try to cop to is that Doug wants to talk about his third beer.
Okay.
Well, the reason I would do that is because it is from Paige and Rick.
Oh.
Ooh, look at it, matches your shirt.
From 2015. How did you guys send me? Are you trying to?
We're just trying to make you happy, Doug. That's all it is.
Did that.
Cheers.
Speaking of bad business practices, if Joel is still on and is upset about Surly, I'm empathetic. However, I did think that Doug would enjoy this beer.
Doug will enjoy that beer. And I agree with Paige and Joel. But yeah, Doug, but that's a, yeah.
Nice.
Ooh.
So for those of you who don't know about Darkness, it is a different, it's a different artist that does the label every year. It's by Surly. They do kind of a different recipe every year, and then there's a variant that's barrel aged, but it's kind of like their perennial, much awaited beer. Like kind of a lot of breweries have similar, like Toppling Goliath has one, but this is the Minnesota one. So,
and I would say Midwest.
Yeah.
The Wisconsin in me will say that Surly Darkness has a footprint here in Wisconsin.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, aside from Three Floyds, it's the biggest release, I would say, of a beer like this. Do you like it?
Yeah. Problem is, like, it had a lot of head, so it's like getting all over my mustache, and like I'm like, okay,
yeah. Get Doug some ice water. He's getting the vapors.
What's funny is it's such a high gravity beer, but like it's super duper smooth. Like it doesn't, like, yeah, you could taste that high gravity, but it doesn't like it just, some of them are like really like got to steel yourself a little because but that just goes
Yeah.
super easy.
That's why I like that.
That thing is a freaking bomber. I'm going to do it.
I wish I was there. Shit.
It's always a little bit of a gamble when you're shipping like heavy glass bottles. You're like, I really hope this person loves this.
Yeah, the artist for this was Brandon Holt.
Yes.
So does that fly for you, Doug? Is that a good label?
Yeah. I'm a sucker for labels, Paige. So this is like, I was like, all right, that's really cool. My wife's an artist, so I like all the different stuff. So
yeah, I've had a few friends that have the brand artists. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, say it again because I was talking over you.
Well, because they have a different artist every year, they do like an art in residency program. And one of my friends kind of like manages the residency program, and then they have a brand artist. And it kind of, I think if I'm getting this right, it started with just the Darkness label. But then as they got bigger and bigger, they had like an artist in residence for like a year or a long period of time. And so they do more than just that label now. But it's been really cool. Like I remember, I think it was the year after that one, or maybe just before, they had the first female artist on the label, and it was really, really cool. So it's always fun to see with those beers that you expect every year. It's fun to see what the artist does with it,
Yeah. They have a really cool Instagram handle, Heathen Legs. The artist's Instagram thing. And this was wax sealed. I just cut it off before I popped it because I didn't want to fiddle with it for 5 minutes before I opened it. So
Nice.
Thank you for that, because that is superb.
Great. I'm glad.
So, Tony says most cops in UK are unarmed. And then Mercy agreed. 90% of UK police are unarmed, which is retractable baton. Special units are armed that are called in if someone has a firearm. See, this is what when I say defund the police, this is what I'm talking about. Meaning a social worker or somebody gets sent out if it's a drug issue or if it's a domestic abuse issue or something like that. Now, if there's guns or something needs to be escalated, you call those cops in a second. But you get a social worker, someone who is versed and trained to A, de-escalate, and B, with all due respect to cops, treat these people as humans. They're humans who are having a conflict. We all have conflicts. This one kind of got a little bit big, and sometimes we just need to say, what did Offspring sing? You gotta keep them separated. So sometimes you just gotta listen. Right. Me and the lady have had some big blowout, dumb ass fights over our 20 some odd years. Yeah. Okay. Sometimes we needed to be separated. We didn't need to be thrown in jail. She didn't need to be hauled off. I didn't need to be hauled off. We just need someone who had some sense at the moment to come in and say, you two are crazy. You go to your friend's house. You stay here. You come back in the morning. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you got a neighbor you can stay with. You got a friend that's close by. You have any relatives, go stay there. Like, cops just get caught. And a lot of times it's just like, sometimes they just have to leave the situation and leave the people there. Then they have to come back after somebody does something stupid because they were left there. Anyway.
And the people that I know who've worked the most closely on like task force and other groups where cops have been a part of it, a line that I've heard a lot since this summer is police are reform proof. There's no amount of reform or education. It needs to be rebuilt. The system needs to be rebuilt. Yeah. You're right. As much as people want to say ACAB, not every individual cop is a bad person. The system is not working, and it needs to be rebuilt. It's not just something that needs a little tweak or a little change in a line item. It is like it needs to be restructured. I mean, Greg, what you're talking about of having a response team that does not have a gun, I think is a really reasonable thing to do. And then to have those other people who are special trained for when there is a firearm involved or a bomb involved or a threat involved. Those are two very, very different things. The cops walking the beat don't need to be, putting their hand on their gun all the time. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right. And
You're
also
escalating it right off the bat by having a gun involved.
that too.
You know, if somebody has a gun, you're already amping up the tension right away.
Right.
We need to put someone in between the cops and people.
Right.
Again, like if I wanted to talk to Tony Evers, governor of Wisconsin, I can't just call him. There's people in between. Okay. Even if I know him, even if Tony Evers and me are friends, I can't just pick up Tony Evers. I'm gonna have to talk to his secretary, and the secretary's gonna say, okay, he's ready for you. You know what I mean? Because again, that's sometimes you need those buffers in between. So yeah, you got again, Paige, you killing the comments, lady. So for the record, I was saying not all Americans, just generally makes no sense. And Mercy, we hear you. We hear you. We feel you. And we also, again, I want to acknowledge that I understand if people who aren't Americans feel that Americans don't like immigrants. I totally understand it. I'm not even, you know what I mean? Like, it's actually kind of, I can see why you believe that. Joe says when their head brewer left for Three Floyds, the darkness quality dropped noticeably. Joe, you would know that. I wouldn't, because Joe has that beer all the time, or he has more access to it because he's closer.
That's definitely the big thing that people say is when Todd Haug left for Three Floyds, that there was a big drop off in quality. I think people have really differing opinions on that. I don't drink Surly back to back, like the same beers back to back enough to know that, but I totally respect that opinion.
Yep. I'm pretty sure this is Jerry making sure that Greg Washington. Let's make sure that we recognize the role of Black enslaved people building this country and the White House and all that stuff in Washington, that they are not immigrants. The same. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Tony says, great show and comments. Yes, Tony, thanks for contributing, buddy. So then I had to wait to get to this one. JC, didn't Amanda Gorman mention that in her poem? So this is kind of a big one, so I don't know if you guys want to talk about. I'll shut up if you want to talk about who wants to talk about Amanda Gorman, because she deserves to be talked about here. So what do you got? Paige,
I was just like taken off guard. I did not expect that. I mean, and then I learned later that she finished her poem the day of the attempted coup or whatever we want to call it. But I just listened. I don't know that I really have that much to say. I really just tried to listen to what she had to say, and I'm trying to do that more in general. I know I can be really bad about jumping in or talking about my perspective, and it's really just because I want to participate. It's not because I want to take it away from somebody else. So I really did try to make an effort just to listen to what she had to say.
It was one of the few moments where I was listening to Pod Save America, which is one of my liberal podcasts. So, but they said that these guys they all worked in the Obama White House. Like they just eat news, consume it all the time. And they mentioned that was the only time they put their phones down was hearing her speak. And also learning later that she also overcame a speech impediment to do that, and Joe Biden had as well, and just the parallels in that, and there was a power in the way she spoke and what she spoke, and just I don't know. I remember just being really teary eyed, just wow, little 22-year-old woman just spoke something that I'll never have that experience, but just I can hear it and I can feel it and how she portrayed it. And that was
you had it on a smaller scale, that too, though. You did. Smaller scale. No, but seriously though, dog. I'm not trying to be an ass, but you reading your things in front of these, all these people. Again, I could never do that, Doug. So even on that scale, again, you can relate a little bit. I'm not saying it's it's terrible. I'm just saying getting in front of people, being vulnerable. Saying something, writing something, and saying something, and and showing your vulnerability. I mean, that's what she did.
Yeah, but I was doing it in front of 500 people. She was doing it before a nation.
500. Well, the world, by the way.
A world just watching her.
Right. No.
I was in my fucking 40s. That's just
she was amazing, man. She was amazing, and I was more surprised about again, I'm sitting there like, yeah, you're right. I was more surprised that everybody got it. Like, it's rare that like everybody gets something. Everybody got that. So Mercy is feeling you, Paige. He's already cracking himself for shipping bottles of beer to Pennsylvania next week. Today was bubble wrapping and some more bubble wrapping. How do we get on Mercy? How do I get on your list, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure who Brian David Groden is, but Shirley just put out the call for this year's resident artists. If you know another
that's a friend of mine here in Minnesota. He is a designer, a printer. He's a beer person, cat person. Wonderful. Yeah. Cheers, Brian.
Cheers. All right.
That's a good point. If you know any artists, send them over to Surly. That could be a great gig for sure.
Yes, it is. Cheers, everyone calling tonight. Cheers, Joel.
Hi, Joel.
Mercy says, I think the funding is maybe not the best option. Maybe increased budget for training only. With unrestricted budgets, it causes departments to spend on equipment over training people.
Unfortunately, I don't know that the last part there has been known to be the case. But I would hope that would be the case. I hope that can happen. Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, Paige, it's a lot of systemic stuff in there that makes that problematic. So.
Right. Or maybe I'm reading that comment backwards. It causes unrestricted budgets cause departments to spend on equipment over training people. Yeah.
You see also like certain police departments get like these freaking tank kind of things that they roll. And I'm like, well, unless you're having like a full scale like war in a neighborhood, you don't need anything like that.
It's true. They're spending on equipment and spending on
right.
They're proud of it. They're proud. They roll that shit out like it's like, check it out, man. And I'm like,
this is an area I want to see. I want to see Joe do, which is like not let police areas buy military equipment. Trump allowed that. I want Joe to look at that, and he's got a lot of shit going on, but eventually, Joe, you need to get to that. Anyway, Joe's got a lot of work to do. Jesus Christ,
I know he does. He really does.
Oh my God. Anyway, they write a thin, narrow history of the U.S. Most textbooks are written for Texas because it's one of the largest markets for books. Then a majority of the schools in America adopt their books. This is where the good teacher shines. The book is a starting point for learning, not the Bible to be taught word for word. Preach, Tony. Yeah. You can tell there's an educator in there somewhere. There's an educator in there. He is.
As formerly working in the printing industry when I worked for HarperCollins, that is exactly right. All the textbooks are printed in Texas for some reason.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. The other big issue is the blue fraternity of blue turning the blind eye. Yes, and this is why things when it happens in the police has to be taken out.
Yeah.
Internal affairs is not getting it done anymore.
No.
It's not. So yeah. Let's see. Amanda Gorman is fire. Joel says that I'm pretty sure Joel's talking about this. Oh yeah, pre-order her books on Amazon.
By the way, she has a couple books out already.
Okay. Cool. Okay. But Joel says she has. Apparently, I think that's who he's talking about. She got a new one. I know nothing about Amanda Gorman. I need to book, like all you. We all need to book up on her. The power of Amanda Gorman's words was overwhelming. I was Misty Preach. I'm pretty sure that's Doug. Tony, I thought Tony was leaving. Tony Amanda Gorman rock. She spoke to the heart of the matter. She has incredible poise.
I'm gonna put a name out there that she reminds me of. It's Maya Angelou. Like, but you can be like that.
Wow.
I've heard Maya Angelou speak a number of times, and just the presence that girl had.
Wow.
Fucking
okay.
I'm not saying she's Maya Angelou. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like I could see that being their path. I really could.
And I'm sure Maya Angelou's inspired her. Who hasn't Maya Angelou inspired?
Right. Well, and I mean that brings up another issue of there are very few role models for young Black women in a poetry role. I mean, at least that are well known and make it to the big stage. I mean, it speaks to that issue of it's hard to know that you're welcome in a space that you can work in a career or in a field if you've not seen it done. And I know people boil it down to representation matters, but I think it really matters. I mean, Greg, I remember when I was on a tour for the Beer Bloggers Conference down at Cigar City, we had a black tour guide, and he was fantastic. And we asked him how he got into this field, and he said he never thought beer was a welcome place for him until he, met somebody who was working elsewhere and was also black, and he was kind of invited to try it out. And if you're never invited by somebody who is comfortable to you, that's really sad.
Yeah, and that is something that, like for a while back, Greg and I kind of made a commitment to be more diverse because, as I've said many times, there's a lot of dudes in the beer world that look like me, and there's plenty of those voices. We want to hear people of color. We want to hear women, want to hear non-binary, trans. We want all the folks to be able to participate because it's not just one straight line of here's who drinks beer.
Right.
I mean, the beer world's diverse. People drink, many different kinds of folks drink beer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like Greg had on their Badger Beer Hour last month, not this recent one, but they had Giant Jones on, and Jessica is trans, and had her and her partner, and it was fucking great to watch because like you're seeing people who they're fucking beer people. Who gives a shit what their gender is, what their color is? Like that shouldn't matter. And the problem is it's systemically a problem for people to be the other. That's the problem. It's the other problem. And I want to just see this grow and be as broad as possible. And it's been super interesting to see us get different people on the show. And I want to make it bigger than even that. So, and I think Greg does too. So
yeah,
I miss that, but I agree because everything Doug says I agree with. except for the top shit issue, he's wrong. And he needs to do something about that. But anyway, look at him. He's not going to. It's fine though. Anyway, I've been drinking. Ale Asylum has come out with a new line called the Apocalypse Bingo, and this is the Murder Hornet Pale Ale. It is as described as the Wisconsin Beer Baron, who Doug, I don't know if you know, is next week's guest.
Oh.
I actually know this. I rarely do, but this is a pineapple bomb, Paige. This it's an IPA, but it comes off with a big pineapple, lovely citrus. Look how thin that is. They're trying to call it a hazy, but I don't see no haze here.
I don't see it that hazy, but it's
still for those who like pineapple, spring, refreshing. Doug was talking about before you got on Paige about how the spring beers seem to be being pushed on us, almost like what is it like when we see an Oktoberfest in July, or we see pumpkin in April, August. Like Doug is right though. I'm starting to feel more spring. Sometimes I feel the brewers like, look, we want it to be spring and we're tired of winter, so we're gonna start putting out some pilsners and some go. What? Doug, where's the ghosts, man? Where have the ghosts already gone? They're gone.
I've seen several here, so I
really.
Yeah, I will get some for next week.
Nice.
Okay. Have you seen any ghosts?
I know you aren't, but I am. So.
I don't know if any seasonal gozes, but there's a few in our market that are year-round or at least quarterly, easy to find. But I don't know about seasonal ones. Which ones are you, Doug? Are you seeing like small, tiny breweries put out gozes?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one that's near me that I had Greg go with me when he came here, and we went, and it was called Purple Rain, and it was a grape goza.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did it taste like grape?
Wasn't it? Greg, Mr. Non-Goza, that was excellent.
Yeah.
That is honestly their flagship beer.
Huh.
Which you don't see a lot of places that a Goza is their flagship beer, but that is their flagship.
the backstory page is that like, remember that Goza uprising a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Where, like, it was a lot of them. This
Yeah.
is where I got the whole like, I found a lot of dog shit once and I didn't like it and it turned me off. So then this is where Doug and I kind of like grinded a little bit because Doug loves Gozas and I'm like, dude, there's too many of them and like I don't like saw beer. Like there was just too many. So now I haven't seen any though. Like compared to what was going on, there was a Goza uprising. That's not being,
Yes, we know that because they were like big regional brands making them, and that's always when you know like it's hit
right
where that's being spread throughout bigger brands.
And maybe I'm wrong, but I think these seltzer people took over the Gozas. Like maybe again, or took over some of those lower ABV light things out of the breweries. Maybe I'm wrong, but something happened to the Gozas though, because again, they weren't around like they were when Doug and I started this stream, and Doug had them like every week. It seemed like it, but you know what I'm saying, Doug. They were definitely prominent.
Well, remember the year before we started our stream, it was the Sculpins. Remember the fucking 50 million IPAs that came out, and I was like, "All right, listen, I get it. There's an IPA, you can throw 50 fucking things in it. I don't want those." And like, I'm not generally an IPA fan, but now that that's been whittled down, where it's a little bit more, you got your hazies, your Northeast New England, and like I can delineate things and try them and enjoy them. Whereas like there was such a glut of IPA stuff that it was like I don't want it.
Right.
When was the last time that you've had like a British IPA? Like the one that was supposed to go to India, like the classic one.
I couldn't tell you.
Right.
Maybe I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe going back to the origins of how the style is supposed to be would be illuminating for you.
Here's the thing. It's not that but now that I am past where you're just getting fucking pummeled with 50 different IPAs, where I can go, okay, well, I'll try that IPA because it sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So good. This is so good. Go on.
But like the idea of just being like, oh, a pineapple IPA, that I would try. Because now it's not.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you one.
But you know what I mean? It's more like I'm not getting. There's 50 million of them. Like I'm a kind of person that like if everybody says you need to see this or you need to try this, I'm going to be rebellious against that.
Right, I get that.
You're doing another one, Greg? Apocalypse Bingo?
I've done 2 of every one.
Wow.
Wait, is Apocalypse Bingo also Ale Asylum?
Yeah.
Yeah. After those,
I'm gonna go over the border and see if I can find some of that.
And then look, I'm not lying.
So, are you someone who do you and Rick enjoy Gozas, or is it something where you're like, eh?
I enjoy Gozas. I think that the style is often misinterpreted, misdone. Like, I don't know if it's everybody wants everything to go to 11 all the time, but I think they're too sour, sometimes too salty, just too heavy. I think the style is supposed to be like Gatorade. I mean, it's supposed to be like what you would want to drink after you go for a run or a bike or whatever.
Or lawnmower, like mowing your grass. That's always the one Greg and I use.
Yes, I know that is that's the popular one to use. Same idea. I just think that they get very muddy. Like they don't have that bright, sprightly, like the salt is supposed to be like salt in food. It's supposed to really open up the palate and bring out the flavor. And they're just heavy-handed, really heavy-handed. Do you agree? Do you agree, Greg?
I agree, and I'm a Goza fan, and I think some of them are like if they're too salty, that sucks. Like I don't want that. I want something that's balanced. If you're giving me a beer, give me something that's balanced. I don't even give a shit what the style is. Make it balanced. Like if you make it balanced, I'm probably going to enjoy it regardless of the style.
Right, and I mean, if you read the style guideline for Goza, it's supposed to be very light and bright and easy. It's not supposed to wallop you with Yeah, I mean, to Rick's point, a touch of salinity and the ABV. That's a really good point. The ABV on some of them are just like, this isn't even, why are you even calling it this? Because then you're ruining it for people like Greg, who will then think that they hate Gozas.
And with the rise of Goza too, this is where Doug and I really, kind of not go back and forth, but like Doug understood what I was talking about, which is with the rise of Gozas were also, again, if I recall correctly, the rise of Berliner Weisses, which I prefer.
Yeah.
If you're going to go on lower ABV, sour beers, give me a Berliner Weiss all day long over Ghost. So then it was that too. It's like I had the option. Like, so it was like, okay, Gozas are fine. I take a little crappy little Goza, or I can take a Berliner Weiss.
Right.
And it seems like Berliner Weiss were able, for whatever reason, whatever process, it seemed like brewers were able to pull that one off for me personally than Gozas. So like, and I don't know, Gozas are damn good. There was one, a jalapeno one that I was like, man, if you put this with like chicken wings. So like, yeah, man, I'm not. I'm cool.
I don't like super spicy shit. So like, I don't like chili beers. So like, like that would not be my jam. But
jalapenos aren't that.
I have to go to that place and get the Purple Rain Goza from Binghamton Brew Works and send that to you and Rick, because
that sounds awesome.
I think you would really enjoy that.
Yeah.
But Doug, how jalapeno? There's a nuance here, because jalapeno, the taste of jalapeno is not necessarily hot. Paige, jalapeno, the flavor
kind of fruity
isn't hot. There's a jalapeno flavor, but there's also a heat that comes with jalapeno. Right. So I'm with you, Doug. I don't like really necessarily the heat. I actually like the flavor of the jalapeno. Like if you take a jalapeno and scrape out all the seeds, it's not really that hot. You know what I'm saying? So then, like, if you keep the seeds in, it's hotter. I'm with you, Doug, where I don't like the heat in beers too much. Maybe a little if I can, but so Doug,
I feel like the heat and the carbonation kind of compete sometimes. There's something about having what they call like the CO2 burn or the acid burn on top of the heat that doesn't always work well for me. That's why the chili beers I like the most have been like smoked chili beers or darker beers that have a body and a lower carbonation, like the creamier mouthfeel. I tend to like those more than like chili, like jalapeno IPAs or things like that. But.
You're preaching to the choir with smoked beers here. Ooh, we love them here. We love them here. So, Paige, if we don't stop now, we can go another hour, and we don't pay our guests, so we're not sure you. So this is the point where we should unfortunately wrap, even though we don't want to. But I do want to roll through some of these comments here, because to make sure that everybody got the page here, and she got all the messages. Going back to Mercy, he's all for inclusivity, all that. But everyone should be except hard seltzer fans. Those people have no taste. So Mercy. I want to say a little comment, and then I'll shift it to a Paige. Until I had a good seltzer, I didn't get it. And I had a good seltzer. Carbon 4 Paige, you were there. They make the best seltzers around, in my opinion. And it's almost like one of those things where like everybody agrees, if that makes sense. Like I talk to my friends and everybody's like, oh man,
shout out to Marie.
This brewery doesn't make good seltzers. But all I keep hearing is that like Carbon 4 makes good seltzers. So the lady, I'm not a big seltzer person, but the lady was trying to get into them. So we bought a mixer sixer from Carbon 4, and we both really enjoyed them, because what happened was they had body and they had flavor. Those are two things that I miss in seltzers. So I was able to find a place that made good seltzers. I don't go for them. They're here. If the lady wants to split one, I will. But I'm not trying to like go after seltzers. Where are you at with them?
I just don't think of them in the same category as beer. And so to Mercy's point, I don't really consider them, like if I want a beer, I'm going to have a beer. If I want a cocktail, that's maybe more where the seltzer falls on my palate.
Yes.
I also I really, really like sparkling water. Like I I grew up drinking it. Like it's not just like the new like trendy thing. So I've always really liked that sensation of a sparkling water, which to me, like maybe I'll drink a seltzer if that's kind of what I'm going for. But at the end of the day, it's usually a beer or a sparkling water for me. It's usually not in between. But I was on a panel that tasted 74 seltzers for an article, and I only got to taste like a quarter of them because they were different heats. But it really did open my mind to like what makes a good seltzer, because there is no style. There's an article, Greg, I can send you the link, but there's really no like style guide for seltzers. It's like it's like whatever you think it should be. Like should it be clear in color? Like when we tried to put together a style guide, we were like, well, it should probably be see-through. Like it shouldn't have any color to it or haziness to it. But is that necessarily a bad thing? We learned after the fact that like some of them use natural fruit juices, and it's like, well, that's what gives it that color. So here, I'll send you this link.
All right. Getting back, Murder Hornet Pale Ale made from real murder hornets. No, Mercy makes a good point though. I did wonder where they went. Remember that? What happened?
Right.
What happened to the murder hornets?
I was waiting for them all summer, terrified.
There was so much other shit to fucking worry about. Like, and I,
Right.
Jesus Christ, I'm not going anywhere. I'm in a pandemic. I'm sitting in my house. I'm not going to get assaulted by murder hornets.
Right. So, let me put this up here real quick so everybody can see it.
So that's the article that I wrote when they were new to the Minnesota market.
Okay.
Talking about, do they have staying power, kind of where do they fall in the rest of the market? And then the second link I sent you, Greg, was our panel. Oh, go up just a second to that photo. So when we were talking about ABV technology, that's the guy who started it, who did taking the alcohol out and making it into seltzer. So
He looks like an American.
If you want to learn more about that process, that's also in that article. And then the second link I sent you was about the actual taste off.
Also, that guy looks like an American Simon Pegg.
Yeah. He does in person too.
All right. So I will post both of these articles to my Facebook page and my Twitter within 24 hours for anybody who wants to see these.
Yes.
So yep, and then Doug, you'll do the old retweet thing. Yeah, so excellent. So we can read about that and soon. Excellent. And again, Paige, this is the time where we normally wrap. If we don't stop now, we'll just go 24/7. Do you want to? Usually before we leave, we talk about our beers that we had and we rank them and tell everybody.
Yeah, what you thought?
Yep. So,
well, I only had 2 beers, but I would say this Dangerous Man, this Weller barrel-aged one, this is definitely for the spirits people, for like people who really like that barrel-aged component in their beer. Obviously,
was it a lot? Was it overwhelming?
It was. I would say it was overwhelming in taste, not overwhelming. It was very strong in taste, but like I said, it wasn't hot. It didn't taste like, it didn't have that alcoholic burn. That sometimes to me is, something that I'm rarely in the mood for. And then the New Holland is much more subtle. They do the foeder aging, but it's not a liquor barrel. Of course, it's part of their process that they do, and then they put it into the foeder. So I don't know that I would really rank one over the other. They were just pretty different. Yeah.
Okay. Paige, Doug, you want to thank her first?
Well, I want to thank you for being on, because we have been trying to get you on. We'd love to have your husband on as well. And I can't thank you enough for the fucking giant box of beers you sent me. My wife, I was like, Jesus. And I opened this. Jill's like, what is this box? And I'm like, it is a box of beer. And I was like, I wonder if she just packed the shit out of this with like bubble wrap. And I opened them like, holy fucking shit. It's like 14 beers. And then I'm like, All right, now I have to send them 16 beers back. So here you go.
Okay, so Doug, can I follow you up real quick?
Yeah, please do.
I want to follow you up, and I want to actually take Paige and Rick to town. Actually,
Oh, here we go. I know where this is going.
hold on. Yeah, she knows where this shit's going. She does. So, like, right. So they give you like this bouquet of beer. So then, Paige and Rick were going. They were coming through my town to. I think they're going to. I think they're with the
We went
weekend.
to in August.
Right. So then, like, everybody knows, and I said this since the pandemic started. I'm a horrible social distancer. I'm a horrible person to be trying to like stay 6 feet away from people. I'm a hugger. I want to be near you. I can't be. This is why I said before, like all you need to stay away from me because I can't help myself. So Paige and Rick are coming through, and they're like, "You want to do an exchange?" I'm like, "Yes." So then I was like, "Oh man, I'm just gonna leave beers out. You guys take them, and then you leave." So these motherfuckers took like 4 beers. I left 15. Stop. I left 15 or 20 ass beers there, dog. I literally wanted them to take the whole thing. These people took 4 beers and were like happy. And I'm like,
and then they dropped, how many beers did they drop off for you?
Right. So like, and it's funny too because I couldn't like they left, they came and left, fast enough that I couldn't get out there. And I actually, again, I didn't want to because if I would have saw them, I would have been like, oh my God, Paige and Rick, oh my God. So then I come out and I'm like, oh, look what they left me. That's awesome. And I'm like, what did they take? And I'm like, didn't take anything. I was completely.
I just want to be clear here. I'm not going to throw my husband under the bus, but he was the one texting with Greg, and he read me the message, and Greg was like, "Take what you want. Don't you don't have to take what you don't want. Take what you want." So we like get there, and it's like one of those igloo coolers, and we're like looking in it, and we're like, well, like, are other people like coming? Like, like what? Like, we're from Minnesota. He's Canadian. Like, we're not gonna take it all. I don't know if you've heard about like the last lemon bar, the Lutheran potluck, but like, we're not gonna take it all.
Hey,
so
that's the thing you didn't take into account, Greg, was that Rick is fucking Canadian. Those people are like abnormally polite.
Yes. I think Michelle said something to me too because Michelle met Rick and Paige, so she knows them a little bit. I know him better, but she knows them more. And she's like, "Well, he's Canadian. He wasn't gonna." I'm like, "So okay, whatever." She's like, "They're not," and I'm like, "I know, but like, anyway." So
we took the ones we wanted the most. We enjoyed them. We loved them, and then we gave you beer in return.
Yes, you did. No. It wasn't. It was just it was just funny though how this all beer exchange works, and sometimes we feel like what I mean. It's just the whole thing. So I just wanted to make sure that, of course, I appreciate you guys, but you should have took more beer that time.
Okay.
Next time
the plan is just send them a metric shit ton of beer so they can't refuse it.
Well, normally how this happens is we meet each other at the Beer Bloggers Conference, and we just like.
There's all the stuff
dry, and I don't have to worry about not being near my friends, man. This pandemic.
You guys just all need to come to Minneapolis, and then we'll solve all these problems.
I am down for that, and I'm gonna make sure that when we come that way, Joel's coming with me because holy shit.
Yeah. And where was the bottle of maple syrup guy?
It's a fucking badass, and I love
Rick. Rick, I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna be talking to you this week about trying to get you on before we get back to the pandemic, because I know once we are post-pandemic, you and the lady are gonna be going. Fridays aren't gonna be a thing for you. I got it. I told you.
maybe we have to do a special Didora's edition of.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. But getting Rick to see our Friday show and meeting our Friday friends would be fantastic. So, Paige, I can't say enough about how I'm glad you were here. We will try to get you on a Friday in the future. I know it's going to be tough, but we are happy and gracious that you grace your presence with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun. I love watching these. I catch them as often as I can. I think it's a really fun show.
Thank you. And now Doug gets off my back, but it'll probably be 2 more years before he really starts to get it cranking again. What's up with Paige?
Well, I was like, hey, can't we get? And Greg's like, they're so freaking busy, and I'm like, yeah, I know. And
But,
I don't know. Everyone's busy.
I like
I-
languages that aren't like something that everybody else can see. So that was my main driver, was just getting you on and getting Rick on and being able to just amplify that sort of thing where you guys are doing things that not everybody is doing, and that's what I wanted.
so Paige, we'll be in touch. If there's maybe a way that we could get either you or Rick on before your opening or before when we know your name, when we have a website, when we have more information, we have a place to steer people. You don't have to come on for that to happen, because once it happens, Doug and I are going to be screaming.
We're going to be
but to have you guys come on.
We do have an Instagram if people want to follow along with what we're like up to.
Right. Yeah. And like Doug said, we will come in on a Thursday or a Wednesday if we have to promote your show and have you guys talk about what the hell's going on. So if it can't be a Friday, we'll make it a Tuesday, we'll make it a Monday, and then we can just scream and holler about it. But we definitely need to have you on when you guys are ready to launch. Yeah. Please.
Sure. Definitely.
Please. Thanks, Paige. Love you. Thank you.
Cheers,
for making
guys.
our show better than what it normally is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paige.
Paige. Appreciate it.
Love you, friend.
All right.
Oh, Doug.
It was
I love
funny.
my friends on.
For this show, we were worried we couldn't fill like 45 minutes.
I love having my friends on.
Oh, it's so much fun. and I mean, hey, let's get Paige on here and Rick, and I want those folks on because that's such a fucking
having them both on at the same time too.
Here's it, like we like having the beer people on, but we like having people who also aren't just that and they have 50 different things to talk about. That's fun, but there's also having people that are beer people. Like we're gonna have Chris on next week. That guy's a fucking beer focused guy, but we can learn a shit ton from him for that. That's the thing. Yeah. I just love the diversity we bring on.
Yep, he's an editor of a major magazine here in Wisconsin. Yeah, so there's definitely things to go. But yeah, Paige and Rick are so there's so much there that we got to have Rick on too, because again, Rick culinary, Rick dangerous man. So yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on a whole bunch of different people there. So we're doing good, buddy.
I have some things coming up too. So
cool. Well, yeah. So while we're here,
you do yours and I'll do mine after.
Hopalicious is the third one for me. Hopalicious is a fantastic beer, but at this point, it's one of those beers that I've had a gazillion times. It's just a very poundable beer. It's reliable. I can drink it and I know what I'm getting. But it's not flashy. It's not something that it's gonna great. So the Plus Crush is pretty good, man. It's a New England style session. Poundable, wonderful. I have to give a shout out to my Cleveland Browns. They had a great year. Yes, we lost last week. We had a great fucking year. Fantastic fun. Man, it's such a different sea change from the 0-16. What was that, 3 years ago? Man, and I hope, Doug, I'm wishing you luck with Urban Meyer and your Jacksonville Jaguars. So at least they could be, I understand you're skeptical, but at least they can be entertaining. At least maybe they can get to a point where they're entertaining and they win some games and they do what the Browns did this year, which is completely throw everybody off guard and be like, damn, look at the Browns. So anyway, Plus Crush has been helpful though with the Browns because it's very, very crushable. And same with Hopalicious, crushable beers. This is my favorite tonight was the Murder Hornet. Man, if Doug, you're like on my short list for beer expenditure export. If these last, you're gonna get one.
I didn't.
If these last, you're gonna get one. I don't know if they're gonna last though, because they're so good. I drank 2 tonight. So Pineapple Bomb. It's a hoppy beer, but it's more pineapple. It's subtle. I think you would love it, and that's why I'm gonna send it to you. Other than that, I had a really good night. 6 beers, 6 Yale Asylums, $6.
Dollar bills, y'all. Anyway,
I think actually the Murder Hornet is $7. Sorry, so that's $7 for 6.
Yeah. All right, so me, the godmother, which was good. It was not exceptional. It was good. Like feel like just basically it says imperial stout. It was much more roasty than I expected. It's almost like an imperial porter more than a stout. So that was good. Not what I expected because I was expecting a stout.
Wait. Isn't it an imperial porter a stout?
Yeah, technically, if you're gonna get fucking into the weeds, knock it off.
Sorry.
Second was Golden Milk from Harpoon because that was really, I was so surprised. I really had no idea what to expect out of this with having turmeric and lactose in a golden ale. And I was like, I don't know what I'm walking into with this, but like, I'm going to give it a try because it's weird and cool. It's really tasty, really super drinkable. Again, like the lactose was subdued, so was the turmeric. It wasn't like just fucking just pounding your face or anything. Really, really super drinkable. And
last but not least,
that was, I almost had the whole bomber done.
So it's 2015.
2015.
And for everyone, again, not everybody's watching us live. We are 2021. So that's a 6-year-old beer.
And that shit was fucking phenomenal.
So it didn't have any edge to it at all, or did you taste the bourbon? What? Because we were in and out with Paige. So
imperial stout as well. It's not like it's a Riz. It's not a regular old stout. But the Russian imperial stout part of it was kind of toned down. You got bourbon taste, but it was not like, it's just really fucking smooth. Like that, thing is, like when you drink Russian imperial stout, smooth is not a word I normally associate with Russian imperial stout. It's good. It's not abrasive, but there's like a real fucking just edge to it.
Right.
It's not that. This is like, I don't know if the 6 years is what aged it freaking well. Like when they sent it to me, I about shit my pants because I was like, I don't have anything to send back to them that's that old. Like I just don't. I aged up a year, maybe two, and I was like, this is just ridiculous. This is great. And I just felt bad that they sent it to me in a way.
So you drank it at normal stout temperature? Okay. Because you're a real, in my opinion, stickler about that. Meaning you try to drink your stouts at the temperature that they should be drank at. You're really good at that, Doug. A lot of people try to like pull stouts out and drink them out cold, but you drink it at the stout temperature. I'm just letting everybody, because not everybody knows this terminology, and not everybody's a barrel person like you.
Well, what I did was I stuck it in my my fridge that I have for barrel aging or was cellaring, and I was like, you know what? Paige and Rick sent this to me. I'm going to drink it now. And I don't know. I pulled it out. It was the last beer I drank, so I could let it be at room temperature. So it warmed up a bit because I stored at 55. And yeah. So yeah.
Sweet. Another great show, like hanging out with your living room with your friends. Love you guys. JHG, we love you. Talk to you soon, JHG, about booking. We got to get you on here too this year. Man, we got to get a lot of people on. Like, Doug, 56 weeks, man. When we have as many people as we have, and we try to get people on and new people, it gets really, really tight quick.
Yeah, like the way we're booking out, and I'm like, yeah, I have these people I'm working on, and I just don't have them booked yet. And it's like, well, now I have to book them out months in advance, and that's not like what I expected. And I'm glad for that. I think it's great that people want to be on the show.
That end, we're doing a really good job. I can see forward. We're doing a really good job as far as being inclusive and diverse. We got gay people, we got black people, we got white people, we got women, we got men, we got all of it.
And non-binary, bring them all on, man.
We do. We have trans-binary. So that goes into the booking too, because for people to know that completely goes into the booking. And as you see, we go forward, you will literally see that. But I literally book in a way that we are completely diverse, and we continue to have diverse ideas and people, and not just subjects to, people, the press berries love them. Can't wait to book them again. But one of the things Kelly says that we're a beer show. And I don't have a problem with that. But at some point, I don't just want to be that, if that makes sense.
No, but I don't think we are just that. I think we have a
No.
lot of different things. And like
Right.
we have Paige on, we're talking about like George Floyd and like, you know, racial equality. Like we're not just a beer. Beer is the vehicle to start us in there, but
Right.
that is not what we are. It is a part, but it is not the only thing we are.
Right. And I don't know, man. We have great guests. I only get to play one video. I'm going to start playing videos at the top, too. I wanted to show that Costco guy. He was really crazy. So, Doug, see you next week with the Wisconsin Beer Baron. Who knows what we're going to get into with him, but it's going to be something. Doug, love you. I'll see you next week. Talk to you.
Probably tomorrow. You know how it works.
I'm going to talk to you right now.
Yeah.
We love all you guys. Cheers.
Thanks
Thanks for the comment. Manny, see you soon, buddy. I don't know when Manny's booked. Don't know the date, but Manny is booked. That's going to be fun.
Ready for cereal.
Manny has a new podcast too. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that started or something, but we're going to dip into that. He's going to tell us about that. Yeah, Rick's going to book here soon. So yeah. We'll see you guys. You guys have a great weekend.